Next episode of Jobs That AI Can't Replace. I'm here with Jennifer Scott of HireEffect. HireEffect is a back office advisory service for entrepreneurs. Hey, Jennifer.
Hey, G, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you for
Excellent.
joining.
Happy to.
Yeah,
Thanks for
so
having me.
tell me a little bit about your business and what you do and what you see that AI can replace in the foreseeable future.
Awesome. Thank you. So we do a lot actually at Higher Effect. I like to say we sell time. People will ask, what products do you sell? Well, we don't sell products, we sell services, but that's a whole different conversation. We help founders find freedom by finding efficiencies in their businesses, basically in terms of the back office support. So, like bookkeeping, payroll, HR, and recruiting, anywhere that we can support a business owner and entrepreneur in scaling and growing their business. So,
So you mean everything that an entrepreneur don't want to do and don't think about.
pretty much, yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
It
So
takes a
when
village. We like being the village.
so when you engage an entrepreneur, like how does the discovery process work?
It's comprehensive. We want to make sure we're the right fit for your business, just as if we were recruiting someone to work inside your business. We very much partner with the entrepreneurs that we support. It's a relationship based, relationship driven engagement. So we want to make sure that we're going to fit the business and that the business is going to fit us, that we're going to be happy working with that entrepreneur, that we understand the business that they're in. And so the discovery is pretty deep.
Now, do you go in and like actually do all the HR work, or like do you set them up and then you exit at some point?
So the answer to that literally is neither. We are
Okay.
fully outsourced, so we're virtual. So we're not typically going to come into your business and work in your offices. But we are your fully outsourced HR department or your fully outsourced, really accounting firm minus tax. We don't do tax. So we can't call ourselves accountants here in Texas, but that's okay. But all of the support, finding things that we can take off your plate. So you don't have to worry about it. You can be back in front of your clients and customers and employees, and we'll take care of the stuff you didn't think about when you probably didn't think about when you started your business.
Sure. So
Learning
like
QuickBooks,
okay.
learning all
Oh
the
yeah, that's
employment laws, final paycheck rules. Um, yeah, we'll do that for you.
and then like say you were hired to be HR, um, should an issue arise with an employee, do you guys jump in and deal with that, or do
Yes.
you just advise?
No,
Oh,
we are you're
okay.
fully full service. Depending on
Okay.
listen, we have different levels of service too. So
Okay.
if you're not ready for a fully outsourced HR department, we can do a setup for you. That's not a
Sure.
problem. Get your handbook done, get you set up, and then when you're feeling like you're big enough or you need us more in an active role, then we can do that as well. So we
So
can
like
do it in like a startup project, or we can do it ongoing. And that's very similar with all of our services. We really are looking for the, again, ongoing relationship driven engagements. But if you just need to get started and you're not ready for that, then we may be able to help you there as well.
so I think about like like ideas or things that happened recently, these mass layoffs, or maybe like when uh the I don't know, the C-level person uses AI to send like an email blast and letting go like a bunch of people, right? Like, so you guys would, one, like if we had um some employees that we want to write up, right, you would help us with that document. You
Yes.
would be able to contact that employee, speak to
Yes.
them in a way that like mitigate any risks for us getting sued and document that.
Correct. And typically we'll have the supervisor with us because it's important to have
Sure.
that um both, I guess, the witness as well as, the direction should really come from your supervisor with HR support. Um, One of the reasons that AI really isn't going to take over the human resources function, right? You can't really have human people centric decision making and all of that if what you're being trained on is all of the angry hate and bias in the world because that's where the large language model is pulling their information, right? There's going to be inherent bias in there somewhere. And so that's one thing for sure that I don't believe AI will ever replace is that human centric element.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And I think about also like, do you guys also like interview you do that too? Okay, yeah, I can't imagine an AI doing that and me trusting the AI, like, hey, here's your new hire. They're perfect for the job.
Right. And
Right?
honestly, the AIs, depending on which tools are have come a long way in identifying experience on paper,
Sure.
validating that experience across the internet,
Okay.
and then giving you some information based on all of that input. So they can find
Sure.
you the resume, they can even probably find you the contact information, they can verify at least that person's consistent in saying this is what they do across the web. Um, they can even analyze recorded interviews and, give you rankings of how effective they think the person's going to be. But again, you're going back to there's inherent bias in that. There's no human centric culture mapping, if you will. Is this employee really going to fit your team and your culture? More, maybe even as importantly, are you hiring for the right position? Right? You might think you need X, but what you really need is Y, which is a subset of X, but much more specific. Or it's, you need Z, which is you need all of these things, and maybe that's not all in one person, right? Maybe your expectations are off. Like, that's not something AI is going to discuss with you as a hiring manager, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That makes sense. Like for for our use case, we'll say, hey, we're looking for this person. Give us, a job description, right? But it doesn't go on into like the thought process that you've been, that you just spoke to me about, right? Of like, but are you sure this is what you're looking for? Like, even in the long run, like maybe this is a person that you want, like for the next 3 months, but what about 6 months out? Are you going to have work for them? Can you
Right.
think through this and let's plan this better to find someone that will grow with your company? Something like along the line of that, like consultative process, which
And
I
that's it,
think,
right? You can
right?
brainstorm with AI, but you still need intelligence to know which of those ideas are actually potentially viable in your specific situation because as much as you can train the models, they don't really know what's going on behind the scenes or just under the conscious level, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you also mentioned something about, QuickBooks, right? And I
Yes.
think everyone just cringes when we think about QuickBooks. I think when it first came out, when I first got it, I was like, oh, you can make rules. Everything's gonna be automated. And it could not have been not the case.
Further from the truth. Right. And
It,
that's true. That's very much true in our advisory for bookkeeping and accounting and financial reporting and analysis and all the things. AI can do a lot, but not everything. It's you always need that sort of human review to make sure that you've categorized this thing the right way or You can say, hey, you should talk to your CPA about depreciation for this thing. Um, is now really the best time to purchase brand new machinery or brand new trucks based on your forecasts and projections. Like AI can do a lot of the actual analysis of those numbers. They do hallucinate, they're not always right, but you want someone who really understands what cycle in the business you're in, someone who really understands what your longer term goals are, understands how you want to scale, how quickly you want to scale. So without that, again, that human centric relationship, yeah, it can do the math most of the time, but
Sure.
it's not going to give you that insight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely think that we would be using your service at some point. As a tech firm, we try to stay as lean as we can, right? But at
Sure.
some point, you know, regardless how lean, we get, there are certain aspects that require a human, like customer service, right? Like I don't think that AI is there to still give that white glove service that a human can give, to handhold and to really like understand emotions, and to be as sensitive as it needs to be. You know, it can give general information and it can help, with some conversations. But usually, if a client is asking for help, they want not really help. They want a human to say, hey, it's okay. I know what you're going through. I dealt with other people that went through what you're going through, and I'm going to let you know you're going to be okay. Like that's kind of what they want to hear from another human being. Like there's just something about that connection with another person
Yeah.
that makes it feel okay, you know.
Yeah.
Though, yes,
And some of the AI stuff that's out there is scarily
sure.
human-like.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy. But again, you brought up emotion and insight and past experience and again, the biggest thing for me is that inherent bias. Um, Humans have been, well, not all of us have been trained on unconscious bias. Let me rephrase that. Good recruiters and HR people have been trained on unconscious bias and how to recognize it and get past it versus, again, pulling information from however many sources across the internet.
Yeah,
So I think that
absolutely.
that's important. That
Yeah.
empathy, um, that connection. Right. I know AI can do a lot, and I'm still totally frustrated when I get the bot on the answering service. Right. Can I please just talk to a human being?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I get it. But I just think about that, when, emotions are high, like when you're writing up an employee, you don't want to send them an automated email, you know, you don't want them to have to talk to a bot. You want to talk to a human and say, hey, here's what happened. Here, how we want to help you get better. Here's how we
Yes.
want to continue to work with you. But we're also going to set the line of if you don't get better, but having a person say it to you, you know what I mean? Like who's showing that they care and they're really trying to work with you versus just like, oh, you just sent me a template that says you want to work with me, but I don't think you mean it. And then that person's not going to want to like improve versus like, oh, my manager really is trying to make this work. Like
Right.
I see she cares and she's giving me actionable steps to improve. And then people will like rise to that occasion,
Yeah.
right?
Most of
Yeah.
the time they do. If it's within their capacity, they will certainly, because again, it's that connection.
Yeah. That's so amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining. And, I think your business is one that will sustain in the long run because humans are needed in these kind of interactions.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.